Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. Today we're going to cover the first two issues of the Quasar ongoing series that came out way back in 1988. That was a long time ago. I was 7 years old. Written by Mark Gruenwald and illustrated by Paul Ryan. In the first issue, I think it's pretty interesting to share with you guys. We get the origins of the character. And in the second one, we get the introduction to one of Marvel's most messed up villains ever, and I've always wondered why they don't use him more, even though his character design is pretty basic. Death Surge. So, without further ado, let's get into the origins of Quasar, a character that I've really learned to like over the years. I loved his relationship with Nova during the whole Annihilation phase of the Marvel Universe and the Nova ongoing series. So, we get the whole story with Marvel Boy. He was actually the first bearer of the quantum bands. Something happened to him, came back to Earth. He was like a hero in the 1950s. He went back to his planet Uranus or Uranus. Such a weird planet to choose, but came back crazy. And he was stopped by the Fantastic Four. He just exploded. Couldn't deal with the energy of the quantum bands. Now the bands are in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. So we have Nick Fury talking to a bunch of scientists to see how they can investigate these quantum bands and tap into their potential to be used by S.H.I.E.L.D. to help S.H.I.E.L.D. protect the world or something like that. So we get the future Quasar. His name is Wendell Vaughn. He's actually in training with S.H.I.E.L.D. And the story tells us that Wendell excels at everything within the tests of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he just doesn't have the aggressivity that's needed to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And they might kick him out of the program. He's very uncertain with his situation with S.H.I.E.L.D. While this is going on, actually his father is one of the investigators studying the quantum bands. So what happens is Wendell does get assigned as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent as part of security, working with his dad. So he's wondering through the stories, like, did I get my job because my dad threw his weight around or not? So his dad studying the quantum bands. We get this test pilot. He's going to use them, see if he can use the bands, tap into their power. So at first everything's just fine, but what happens is the quantum bands just basically overload the guy and he just blows up in this beautiful demonstration of Kirby crackle there. So within the S.H.I.E.L.D. base, one of the investigators is actually a secret AIM scientist. So AIM attacks, full-blown attack. Everything just goes to hell. And what happens is that Wendell Vaughn, selflessly wanting to protect everyone around him, puts on the quantum bands, and he actually gets a glimpse of Eon, everyone's favorite cosmic flying booger. And he's able to tap into the full potential of the quantum bands. He's able to defeat these AIM agents, stop the whole situation, stop getting the quantum bands stolen. Thankfully, he doesn't overload and blow up, so he goes back to Earth. Nick Fury is super happy with the situation. We get the birth of Quasar as a character. So Quasar himself actually did make his first appearance prior to this comic book, so he has a little bit of history. So it's established that from that point on, he went on those adventures. And in issue number 2, after those adventures, chronologically, we start with Quasar in the present day 1988. So what happened during that time? He decides to go back to Uranus, place where the quantum bands come from, to discover what happened to the extraterrestrial race that lived there. Discover the origins of the quantum bands. What's the deal? What happened to the original Marvel Boy? Why did he go crazy? And so on and so forth. So we get the whole story of Quasar's adventures prior to the Quasar series. He finally reaches Uranus. He discovers this colony of these humanoid aliens that are exactly like humans, which actually I think they're offshots of the Eternals. So they're a mortal race of people that were living on this planet, but everyone's dead, and he's confronted by Death Surge. Because when he arrives, Quasar's like, oh, super bummed out. It's like, I traveled millions of miles to discover that no one's going to be able to answer where these quantum bands come from, what they're for, the whole deal behind them. So he's sort of bumming out. Death Surge arrives and, hey, I can give you a hand. You want to die? So what to discover? Death Surge, his powers is actually to push people to commit suicide. Like, that's the most fucked up power I've ever seen. Like, his character design is super basic, but man. So he tells the great favor he did to the Eternals on Uranus, because he tells them, like, they had grown bored to be immortal. They already discovered the meaning of life, the explanation to the theory of everything. There was nothing left for them to discover. How they contacted Marvel Boy's father, who was a scientist way back in the day, so he would travel to this planet so they can learn how to die. And as a gift, they gave his son, Marvel Boy, the quantum bands. He went back to Earth. He was a hero during a brief time. He went back to Uranus, discovered everyone died, because what happened is Death Surge gave the Eternals a hand and destroyed the dome protecting the city, leading to everyone's death. So he gave him a hand in ending everyone's life. This is what drove Marvel Boy crazy. He went back to Earth and went on a rampage, ending up with his death. So Quasar has to deal with Death Surge, who can make these like dark things out of his body that if they touch you and they take over your body, you're straight up dead. So if he can't convince you to commit suicide, he'll kill you with his weapons. I just love him. See him flying around with these black skis. So it's like all the 80s goodness in such a bizarre story. It's so freaking dark, but at the same time super cheesy. It's like, that's the good thing about 80s comic books. You have that balance between cheesiness and fucking insane darkness. So he's about to die. He gets saved by the cosmic booger of Eon, and basically he explains to Wendell that he's going to become the new protector of the universe. He's part of a long line of protectors. He's the one overseeing the protecting. And so he's going to become his avatar of justice across the universe. So he gives him the power. He gets a new suit, so it does look a little less like the Adidas logo. Looks more modern for 1988. Gives him the means. He defeats Death Surge. Death Surge actually tells him, it's like, I'm an agent of Oblivion, who's going to be a major villain for Quasar. Goes flying back to Earth with the flying cosmic booger. We have a little bit of time. In issue number 3, what we discover is like the main focus of the series is he's a protector of the universe, but he has to find all the aliens on Earth, because on Earth, like the destroyer of the universe, he's hiding on Earth. So he's basically going to become like this policeman that controls alien activity on the planet Earth. So that's like the main idea behind the series. And in issue number 3, he battles a pretty forgettable weird villain called the Angler. This leads to a brief superhero misunderstanding with the Human Torch. But the basic idea behind the series is that Quasar is like the space policeman on Earth trying to take care of the situation. So, hope you guys like this video. Check out the Quasar series. It has all the 80s goodness in it. See you guys next time. Bye.